Luke, must be nice to have destiny in your own hands.
Yeah, it is, actually. There's a lot of uncertainty in the lead-up, and it's brilliant that we've got ourselves in this position where we are in control of our own destiny. So obviously the focus is on winning the game, as it is every week, and taking care of the things that we can control.
I mean, there were periods through the year where it looked like probably finals were probably just out of reach. I mean, to fight back and get yourselves in this position, you must be pretty proud of the group to get to this stage anyway.
Yeah, I am, and the lads have really applied themselves, and as I've mentioned at different times, we've seen the improvement out of many individuals, whether they're players who haven't played a lot of AFL footy, and some of our more experienced players have had a real impact, and lads who have come from other clubs, and we've really been able to gel, and there's been some strong chemistry in our team for a number of weeks. So, you know, if we win this weekend, that'll be 8 out of the last 11, and that's a pretty good form line, and something that I am really proud of the boys for. So, but we've got to win this Sunday.
Do you expect to get Tim English back?
Yep. Yeah, Tim will play at the moment.
Can you pinpoint a time where there was a specific turnaround? The win away against Port Adelaide feels like that was something that might turn the tide.
Yeah, that was an important game, and we hadn't won many games in the state over the last couple of years, and it was a really important game. But I think each week, each outing against pretty strong opposition. I mean, the irony is that we've only beaten two teams that have been beneath us on the ladder throughout the course of the year at the different junctures, you know, being Carlton the second time and Melbourne later in the year. Every other time, the wins that we've had have been teams that have been above us. So that is encouraging for us. And but even, you know, in the early part of the year, there were some indications that we were doing some things right. And then through our players, as I said, Bailey Dale's had a lot of injury. Having him back in the side's made a difference. Tory Dixon's finally got over some injury concerns, and he's had an impact. Sam Lloyd's had an impact. The two young key forwards in Norts and Josh Shackey have been really important for us, and we've seen how far Tim English has come on as a young ruckman, and our defence has really held up extremely well when we've had pressure on the footy. But when you consider the year that Hayden Crows has had Taylor Duray and our high defenders in JJ and Caleb Daniel was in All-Australian form before we lost him, and so there's been some encouraging things, and our inside mid brigade have just been prolific. I mean, the three mainstays in there in Marcus, in Jack McRae and Josh Dunkley. You know, again, the improvement out of all three of those players, but then the support action, Pat Lipinski and Bailey Smith, and it's extremely encouraging for us as a club. And now, this week's extremely important in the scheme of the year, but now we feel like we've got a foundation we can take forward, and sustainability once again is an absolute focus.
I remember at the start of the year, I remember asking you about what this group and what you think that they could achieve, and you were confident that you could climb up the ladder. Did it take you a while to instill that belief into the players?
Yeah, well, I think when you've got such a different mix and they haven't played a lot of footy together, it takes them a little while to develop a trust in the team as much as anything. And once you start to generate that commitment to the little things in the game, the things that people don't really see, that you don't highlight necessarily on broadcast, that we see when we review the games, that we put up in lights in the lecture theatre, that we all feel good about it. Once those team aspects start to come out in the way you play, you know that you've got something pretty exciting happening. And it took us a little while to get some consistency in that. And then now the big focus is continuing to value that, because they're the things that hurt in the game, because they're not disposals. They don't show up on the stat sheet. There's a lot of off-ball stuff that's absolutely critical to the way we play, and there's a real power in what our players have been doing there, and that's given us these opportunities to win games. And I suppose, look, there are some younger guys who've been challenged with different roles, and you're not sure how they're going to not only grasp the challenge and take us forward, but how they're going to be able to perform. And to see the way that many of them have been able to do it is extremely exciting for us. And, you know, we'd love to see it all again on Sunday.
The last couple of weeks, in particular, I mean, 21 goals in a row, 12 goals in a row. You're in seriously hot form. Is there a 2016 sort of feel about the way you're finishing the year?
Oh, not really. I think where our offensive aspects are better at the moment than what they've been historically. And there's a combination of the skill and the decision-making, but also the decision-making and work ethic in the running patterns of our forwards, and the willingness of our defenders and midfield to run, and some of the overlap side of things has been really impressive. So all those things, and even if you focus on our athletic profile and who's playing in the team and how that challenges the opposition, and the ballistic nature that we'd like to play at different times. And I suppose we've stuck to our guns on system and what we believe is going to win the day, and we've asked our players to come up to speed there, and they're doing that. So I think, that's a long-winded back end of that answer, but I think where our offensive elements are going better than what we've been able to establish, and we've probably, because the players have been able to perform the forward roles a bit better, rather than have the hybrid combination of the mids playing forwards in forward roles that we've had, you know, historically, we've been able to focus on just those one areas with the opportunity to play different roles if we really need it during the course of the game, because we've trained it. The players, you know, they play multi-roles, but in game, we've had them really essentially playing mostly one role. It's been good for us.
Look, we saw Lewis Young come back into the team last week. Is he a chance to keep his spot in the side this week, or will he go out?
No, we did. He played extremely well, and that's a tough ask to take the phone call on the Sunday morning and be told that you're definitely playing, jump on a plane pretty quickly, and perform an absolutely critical role for us in a huge game. And I thought he was outstanding. You know, he had a couple of moments in the first quarter where they were open plays, and, you know, was welcome back to AFL footy because he hasn't played a lot this year. And then after that, he settled extremely well, and it very tough to take him out of the side, which is terrific for him to create that in this game. And if he plays, and, you know, if we can see something similar, that'd be outstanding.
Luke, Jaden Stevenson's playing this weekend. Do you sit comfortably with you as contention?
I don't really want to comment on that, to be honest. I don't want to create controversy there. It surprised me.
Yeah. What are you expecting from Adelaide, Luke? Clearly they're going to come out hard. They need to win by, you know, X amount of points, but they'll be pretty chomping a bit after a pretty disappointing performance last week.
Yeah, definitely. And just prepare for their best. They are a mature side, and I don't know what the weight profile would be, but I'd imagine with their physical maturity, they'd probably have a little bit of advantage there. So we'll need to be nimble, and we'll need to be as dour and as tenacious as we have been in the contest. But we've probably focused more on what they did against West Coast than what they did or didn't do last week. I thought they were really impressive in Perth. It was a hard, combative, physical game. I thought their midfield were outstanding up until the point they lost Rory Sloane, and that really compromised what they were doing. So we're under no illusions. We're going to play against a good side, and we just in there talking about their scoring power when they get it going, and what they can actually do. So we'll be well prepared.
What does a chilly, sold-out Ballarat crowd and ground do for you?
Yeah, well, it might be similar to when we played in Adelaide against Port Adelaide last time, where it was a bit of a territory type game, and dealing with the wind's always an interesting one for the coaches. I've got the luxury at times of not having to worry about it under Marvel. Sometimes I say to Gia, I don't envy you every time out here at Whitten having to deal with the nor'wester that is a constant breeze during our winters. But so we'll be like when we played Brisbane there earlier in the year. It was you know, it was reasonably windy, so I think it's going to be a similar day. So we've had a rehearsal Mapes is out there having a look at the ground. The ground's in great nick. It might be a little bit soft underfoot, but we'll be ready for it.
What did you make of the Belly and Haynes, or the fine that was handed down, and I guess the GWS being a bit aggrieved with the process, with the injuries ending a bit worse than expected?
Yeah, look, I've got to be careful here because I'm not going to question the decision of the MRP. What I will say up front is the respect and admiration that I have personally for Nick Haynes. I think he's almost the best intercept, courageous defender in the competition. Even to the point where I don't talk a lot about individuals from opposition teams with our players because I'm more about empowerment and focusing on our strengths. But even last week, I called our players in when we were doing some scenario-based training to say, hey, to our forwards, what we asked you to do there, we didn't quite get right. And if we don't get it right, Nick Haynes is going to intercept everything. So let's make sure we do. So the actual incident, we coach our players to close space quickly in order to pressure, give us a chance to get the ball back. If you have a look at actually what happened, Marcus takes ground quickly. He's anticipating one or two things. One, Nick Haynes uses deception and balks him and gets around him. So he's got to be careful. He's got to shorten his steps. He's got to slow down a fraction. Or two, he kicks the ball. Now, Nick, in his desire to get the most out of his kick, has kicked it extremely late. His feet haven't got off the ground. Marcus and him are similar height. He's dropped down to about there. Marcus has virtually stopped, and Nick's momentum has taken him into Marcus. And what's he going to do but stand there? And it's a really unfortunate injury. It's a tragedy for him. I hope he's going to be all right. But we were surprised. So, but we needed to cop it on the chin and move on. So the injury's a tragedy and disappointing for Nick, but the incident, there was no malice and there was no intent. So the penalty has been handed down purely on the outcome and the injury to Nick. And I've always argued that should never be the case. It should be whether there was intent from the player who was coming in. Marcus's intent was to close down space to pressure, and at no stage did he try to clean him up. So, as I said, we moved on, but the commentary around it, I think one or two have not gone and looked at it properly. If they do, they'd realise what actually happened, and maybe they jump on the other side. But I understand there'd be some sympathy for Nick, and we've got that too. And I hope he recovers well and he's going to be okay. But the penalty was handed down based on the outcome, the physical injury.
Finals beckoning, how much excitement is there around the club? A lot of supporters I know are getting pretty excited.
Yeah, and I've tried to calm a few of them down too, because we're not there yet. We've got to win this week. We don't want it to be in the hands of the gods, and lose and hope for percentage and all that sort of stuff. We've got to win this week. So the feeling around the place is we've come this far and it'd be a bloody shame, and we need to keep our heads in it and just focus on beating Adelaide. So yeah, I had to calm one or two of our supporters down on the fence the other day. So hey, just cool your jets because we're not there yet. Yeah.
Will you travel up to Ballarat the day beforehand like previous times, or will you head up on the day?
No, we'll head up on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Yeah. So we'll stay overnight. We treat it like an interstate game, as we do with the Geelong game down there at their stadium. So we'll head down there Saturday afternoon after watching Footscray play out here against Coburg.
How far away is Liverpool? Will he be right if you happen to make the finals? Will he be right for the first final, do you think?
We're not sure. There's still a little bit of uncertainty. Yeah. He may come available. Now he's missed some weeks, and I will work through that. I can't give you a definitive answer, unfortunately.
What about Mitch? Is he a chance?
Probably not. Wally? Yeah, no, probably not. Yeah, I shouldn't say. I'm thinking of Mitch Honeychurch here. Mitch is no longer with us. So Wally's more than likely his year's over. Yeah.